The following is an encore presentation of new expressions.
And it's 10 a.m. and man, we've started already on this Friday morning.
Friday mornings go off, don't they?
Man, Craig Blue in here. It's like Abbott and Costello in here.
Come on, it's nuts, because we love every Friday morning, 10 a.m. we get together and we just play Kingdom stuff in the new expressions program. And we're basically bragging for an hour about all that Jesus is doing on the Central Coast, which is why it's incredibly good fun. And this week in the studio, we've got a brand new guest to the program and kind of new to the coast, but old and new to the coast. Caleb Reid, welcome.
Thanks, Craig. Great to be here with you today.
It's good to have you, mate. You've landed on the coast with just the most remarkable assignment. You're cheering up the Red Frogs.
And Red Frogs has arrived on the Central Coast, apparently. No, it's funny because you say I'm starting it, but it's something that's already been boiling under the surface for a long time. And I think you're aware of that too, so it's a privilege to jump on board with it.
Yeah.
But has it been here on the coast, though? Because I thought it was already here on the coast.
Right, so that's the interesting thing is people in over the last few years, people have identified Red Frogs as an outreach service that could go off on the Central Coast, right? Everyone knows Central Coast, great place to be, fantastic things for young people to do all over the place. So why not have the Red Frogs here? That's what the Red Frogs is all about. So there's been several people praying about it, thinking about it, meeting about it, talking about it, and they were almost waiting for something. Anyways, I arrived. And on the Sunshine Coast, which is where I've come from, but I should say, I don't think I've even told you this, I'm still a New South Welshman at heart.
Oh, praise God.
Yeah, still.
See, I knew there was quality all over.
Yeah.
That's right.
I realised I hadn't told you that, Craig. I should open there right there. I still call myself a New South Welshman. But back on the Sunshine Coast, had some fantastic experience with Red Frogs. So got here and thought, man, this would be a great place to see Red Frogs happen. Oh, what? It's not happening already?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this conversation opened up with some fantastic people that I've met already. It's exciting to see what will happen next.
Well, it's really huge. It's really exciting. I know some people listening are going, sorry, Red Frogs in the Sunshine Coast, is this the cane toads that we read about that coming down across the border? They're thinking, when did frogs turn red? And
that's right.
You know, they've got big questions about that. So maybe why don't you start by unpacking for the listening audience why we're talking about Red Frogs.
You'll be glad to know, Craig, straight off the bat, it is actually something to do with the lolly favourite, Alan's Red Frogs.
Alan's Red Frogs.
You know
lollies.
those? Have you had those?
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic lolly.
Yes.
You like them?
Yes.
Okay, so the best thing probably to start with is that if we get Central Coast Red Frogs happening, we're going to end up with tons and tons of Red Frogs. Those lollies coming into the
Come on.
Central Coast. That's
There's
good
a big
news.
market for it too.
That's
here,
you don't even have to pay for them. We're just going to bring tons and tons of them in.
God, hallelujah.
So that's a great
So
start.
listeners are salivating already while they think about those yummy Red Frog lolly things. And that's what this whole ministry is about. So I'm playing a bit tongue-in-cheek because I've done the journey with Red Frogs for ages, but we're just mindful that some might not have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, again, why don't you start off by giving us the picture of what Red Frogs lollies has to do with an outreach?
Absolutely. I'll go right back to the start. Yeah, sorry.
Good. I was going to say that because, you know, we're in the business of introducing people to God, and we get people every single day who know nothing about everything that we know.
Fantastic.
So fire off.
Love it. So this ministry, Red Frogs, right? So it started way back in 1997. That's the year I was born. So I don't even know, how do I even know this stuff? But what happened
I was born back then around that time.
Sorry?
Were you born 1997, Ed?
No.
No chance.
No, it's way before my time.
Oh, yes.
Actually, no.
There you go. So I'm the old fella in the room.
You are old, man.
So there was these guys, right, and they were up in Queensland. We start our story up in Queensland, and they were looking after some skaters, right? So they were hanging out in skate parks around their local area, taking care of them, loving on them, hanging out with them. Fantastic. And then there's this thing called schoolies. Did you have a schoolies experience, Craig?
Yeah. No. That's way before my time as well. I'm too young.
No, we don't really have schoolies in the U.S. We have Fort Lauderdale, but we don't have schoolies. No.
It's something different.
Come on.
Slightly different. So what you have, right, is you get to the end of year 12 and everyone goes and celebrates. They call it schoolies. There's some Central Coast young people listening to me right now going, I know it's coming. It's coming. It's not far away. We've just got HSC between us and our schoolies experience. So basically it's this big celebration that happens largely on the Gold Coast. It happens a few other places as well. These skaters who these guys were looking after they graduated and they headed off to schoolies. So they thought, hey, they're going to party on the Gold Coast. Let's go check in with them, make sure that they're okay. They rock up at this hotel, right? And these guys are in this hotel room, the skaters, that's where they're staying, and they rock up and they want to check in on them, see how the weekend's going.
Yes.
And the big security guard rocks up and he says, there's no chance you're getting in there. You didn't just graduate school. You graduated school 15 years. You're not getting in here. That's not happening.
Yes, okay, yes.
Yeah, so he's not getting in there. And they went, okay, how are we going to get in there and check on our skater crew? How are we going to do that? And so they went to 7-Eleven down the road, bought themselves a bag of Red Frogs, rocked up, same security guard, big scary guy's there, says, how about we're giving some Red Frogs to the guys in there? He said, come on in! And then so they started handing out Red Frogs. So that's where it started.
See, it's currency up on the Gold Coast. Red Frogs are genuine currency on the Gold Coast. You can get into any place.
That's it. Yes.
You know, security guard and Red Frogs is like, I'm looking at something. You do this whole magical thing, and then
food breaks down barriers, right? Especially Red Frogs.
So they got in and were able to do some ministry, and we know that was 20-something years ago, right?
Yeah, it was.
And since then,
Which makes
the
you
church,
like 19 or 20 or
yeah, I know, and I'm younger than that even, so, you know. But anyway, crazy youth, I don't know. But you know, in amongst all of that, they've been just consecutively reaching out over those week and 2 week long periods of people having schoolies in the Gold Coast, but again, as you said, many locations, including internationally. Red Frogs are in Bali as well.
Yeah,
I know.
they're heading over to the States at the moment.
How about
Are they
that?
really?
Yeah, they are. So they're looking to go and party in Fort Lauderdale.
So are they actually taking the Red Frogs?
So the Allen's Red Frogs, that's going to be the tricky part, right? Do you have is the
I
Allen's?
don't think so.
That's the tricky part, but they want to get in over there and hang out with some of the college students and provide
I tell you
some
what would work over there though.
Yeah.
Red vines.
Red Vines? I don't even know that. I just like Reese's Pieces.
Everybody. They're in copious movies, but you guys wouldn't know what they were.
Is that red licorice?
Yeah.
Red licorice, red
the
vines.
red, long, thin, hollow. You can get them at Costco here. So, because I'm a red vines nut. My children like them. My wife loves them. They're not as sweet as your red licorice, and it's hollow on the inside. Okay. And when we bought them when we were young, they're in the little packs for 89 cents. You probably got about 36. What? And on the back of it is little tricks.
36?
You're so old.
Yeah. The one I liked is when...
You gave it away, 89 cents for 36 lollies.
It's still... They're still, I think they're maybe $1.09 now. I was there 2 years ago, about $1.09 now. And the barrels, which are
that's about $14 Australian.
No, yeah. The barrels are $300 per barrel, or 300 sticks per barrel. And in the States, it's $10. And I'm told at Costco it's only about $15. So I order them. Yeah, okay. I order them online out of Melbourne, and it's about $30 to get it delivered to me. So 300 sticks. It's usually gone in about 3 weeks.
3 weeks turn around for a barrel of red vines.
On the packet, when I was growing up, they give you things you can do with them. My favorite was you take one, you bite a little bit off the top, a little bit off the bottom, and it's a straw.
Yeah.
And you stick it in a can of soft drink.
Yeah.
So as you're drinking it, the licorice begins to dissolve into the drink, and it's really nice.
Ordinarily, our program isn't like this, Caleb. Just ordinarily speaking.
No, hey, we can make it a culinary program.
99.9% fat free.
No, there you go.
You know how they make it?
Sugar.
Just like they make butter.
Just pure sugar.
They turn it. They turn it. Old South. Seriously.
Red
You
vines.
would go well with that. I know no college student or no high school student who does not eat red vines.
Okay, well, let's put that out there. Maybe
there
it's
red
red vines over
in the States.
It's a magnet.
Red Frogs certainly don't work as a straw, although I haven't tried that. Have you done the Tim Tam Slam? Have you used a Tim Tam as a straw before?
Yes, I have done.
There's an idea.
Yes.
There's an idea.
They will like Tim Tams because you have better confectionery here than we do in the States. That's my opinion.
Okay.
That's my wife's opinion.
Hershey's v. Cadbury. It's an eternal debate.
No, it's not. It's settled.
No, it's here. Yeah.
Cadbury's.
Yeah, it's here.
Anyway.
My mother loved Tim Tams. First time she tasted them, like, these are awesome. No.
So if you think that you've just dialed into a food appreciation program, it's actually the New Expressions program where we were talking all things food, and we were hearing the story of the lollies, the Red Frogs lollies that Allen's do, and how that's become a ministry over decades, essentially up on the Central Coast and the Sunshine Coast, about to land here on the Central Coast with a guy called Caleb Reid.
That's right. So, back to the beginning.
Hit us.
They started getting into a nightclub, handing out Red Frogs.
Yeah, they're getting in there, they're looking after their young fellas. Red Frogs provided the way in.
Yes.
And from there, it's just exploded, right? As Craig hinted at then. It's just exploded. They're right across the country, internationally, as we mentioned. And it's just about practically meeting the needs of young people, right? Because like we talked about, Central Coast, great place to grow up. Lots of fun to be had. Unfortunately, though, particularly in Australian culture, we like to fuel our fun with alcohol and other substances, which is obviously not a great thing, perhaps, in planning for the future of these young people hanging out in the Central Coast. So what Red Frogs does is it comes in and says, says, hey, we want you guys to have fun. We're all about that. It's awesome. But we're going to safeguard. We're going to safeguard your future. We're going to look after you. We're going to care for you. We're going to have a heck of a lot of fun doing it, eating some red frogs along the way. So it's practically meeting the needs of the young people here on the Central Coast. That's what we want to do.
And it's a kind of a chaplaincy sort of thing too, and it's almost like hotel chaplaincy in terms of you being in the hotel rooms and you're there supporting people and have opportunity. Yeah, all things good, lollies, Ellen's support, funding,
yes,
chaplaincy.
I was thinking about that during the break. If you're in the U.S. And you call yourself Red Frogs, it wouldn't hurt if you rock over red vines. It's still going to marry up. And trust me, as good as they taste, no one's going to care. I wouldn't care. If I was someplace and you walked in, I'm coming. Can I have 10 of them? Because that's my norm.
That's my order every 3 weeks. That's a good frequency.
One doesn't get it, man. no.
So Caleb Reid representing Red Frogs here in the Central Coast and taking up the banner to kind of work in with us in this location. Alan's must be heavily invested in this.
I hope so. I want the tons of red frogs that I've been hearing about in other places
because
in the country.
That's all I hear is that as soon as Red Frog shows up, literally the bucket loads of Red Frogs arrive.
Yeah.
And that's got to look in terms of sponsorship or support or in kind or something, because it's big wherever you guys are. It's truckloads of stuff.
That's a question.
Yeah.
Is it? Do they sponsor you?
Yeah. So the Allen's Red Frogs crew, they're in on what's going on with this ministry. So they're like, we'll fork out the frogs. You guys just pass them out to the people who need them. So it's awesome.
Well, they got their logo on the shirts and stuff too, don't they?
That's right.
That's
right. Officially sponsored by Allen's. We'll have to get the numbers. We'll have to check the numbers. It's in the tons.
Yeah.
Like the red frogs that we're going through.
I understand that. That's what I understood. Literally, it's tons of these lollies that land. Wherever they're watching.
What the people who are signing up to this don't understand yet is if they're saying, we want to get involved, one thing that we might need is like, oh, great, do you have like a garage we can fill with boxes of red frogs? What do you reckon? Can you do that?
Storage
put them into barrels of red vines.
Lollies.
Wow. Okay.
Your eyes just lit up.
And I wouldn't have expected that one. Like
you just backed your car out of the garage right then.
Okay. Well, with my children, I'm not sure that's safe. But anyway,
where do you hide the red vines? Maybe we can use the same spot.
Wow. Okay.
Gotcha.
I want to talk on membership, but I want to come back to something else I'm itching to ask because I know. At one point in Newcastle, there were, as you guys will say, Newcastle. In Newcastle, there was a crew that used to go out and they would do snacks, barbecue snacks, and people would come by and the smell of food, especially when you're intoxicated, and they would use that to actually meet, greet, speak to people, not only evangelize, but to care for those who just don't look like they're going to make it home or it's too unsafe for them to be on the street. Where do you guys sit in that realm? Do you just hand out frogs, or is there a safety measure aspect to it? I'm pretty sure you do minister because it does start up a conversation. But what about the other side? What happens if you come across someone who if we just let you wander off somewhere, is there some sort of duty of care or some sort of way you can get in there? I mean, that's rough territory. But
before you jump in with the answer, I just want to, if that's okay, I want to preface it by saying there's been a real concern, particularly in the Terrigal area, about young people and underage drinking and people who are intoxicated and their own safety and well-being. And out of that concern, I think that the church, a number of church leaders actually got to a point of going, we need to do something about it. We need to be proactive. We need to be the church that demonstrates the love of Christ in this situation. And I know Pastor Carol Ranucci from Coast Community in Bennsville, who's a friend of this program, she started to reach out to several of the church leaders in the region to say, hey, we need to do something, and what could something look like? What sort of ministries are out there that could, ensure that particularly vulnerable girls are safe and able to get to safety from, where they are and those sorts of things. And so it was out of a concern in the heart of church leaders, and particularly Pastor Carol, that this inquiry began to go, has anyone heard of Red Frogs? Can we engage with them? They got a part to play in providing this kind of safety for young people who are vulnerable, and also for outreach and so on. And so having gathered several of the church leadership from around the region and shared something of the vision that God had placed on Pastor Carol's heart, there was a real response, a real a willingness amongst the broader body of Christ, Salvos, Baptists, Independent Pentecostals, and everyone in between to go, hey, we could do something here, and hence a reach out to Red Frogs. And all of a sudden there's this guy called Caleb Reid, right? Mm-hmm. So the premise of the whole story is, hey, the Lord's speaking to some of the senior leaders on the coast about a problem that we just feel like we should demonstrate the kingdom for, and hence the reach out to Red Frogs ministry. So from that perspective, if you like.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because I guess one of the coolest things about this Red Frogs ministry, and I'll come back to what you said about meeting the practical needs, I love that question, is it's not owned by a church.
Yeah.
It's owned by the church.
That's right. Yeah.
The idea is not that there's one or two or just three churches contributing to this Red Frogs program, as we call it. And the Red Frogs, I don't know if you're picking up on it, we talk about it like it's the best thing though. It really is just a symbol of the care that we're trying to offer practically, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's not something that's taken up by one church, taken up by the church as a whole. So the fact that Regions on the Central Coast, you talked about Carol, she goes down in the legendary books of Central Coast Red Frogs. They're just starting those legendary books, but we'll talk about Carol years down the track, when we're in schools right across the Central Coast helping out and stuff, right? Because her vision, she recognized the need in the community, and that's what we got to do, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's what faith's about. It's not just about talking about it; it's about recognizing a need in our community and saying, how can we meet that?
Yeah.
So Carol started that conversation, like you mentioned, Craig, and as I mentioned before, it's a privilege for me to come in here, and I thought, oh, Red Frogs. Actually, you know what? I'll share this. I got here. And before I even got here, actually, let's start beginning of this year. There was a music festival. So I can't even remember which one it was. Not too far away.
Yeah.
On the Central Coast, perhaps even. And there was a fatality at this music festival. Yeah. And when I saw that, and I knew it was on the cards for me to be coming to the Central Coast possibly, I saw that and I said, hey, there's a need that Red Frogs could meet. Right?
Yeah.
We can do something about that. We can get in there and practically help out and try and stop that kind of thing from happening. So that was another need. And so I got here and found out I wasn't the only one having these thoughts, right? Carol's having these thoughts. She's talking to other church leaders from all over the Central Coast saying, what can we do about this, right? And so it wasn't that, what do we do? We all knew what we wanted to do. So now it's just getting the ball rolling. Yeah. So Red Frogs. So we talked about practically meeting the needs. How do we do that? We've recognized Terrigal, for example. We've recognized these music festivals where things are happening. We want to safeguard the next generation. So we mentioned the Red Frogs handing out. Another thing that we love to do when we rock up to different events is the Red Frogs hand out water. Yeah. So hydration is key. Yeah. We also, we're actually organising right now, you'll love this, Eb, if you love your sausages, a barbecue trailer. So you might see the Red Frogs barbecue trailer cruising around the Central Coast. Right. Maybe we can get you flipping the sausages just a little bit as well, helping out.
Nice try, but thank you.
It was worth a shot. Okay. You can knock down every third one you cook or something. So that's another practical need that we've got. Talking about the Gold Coast and schoolies, this is one of the coolest ones I saw, right? They recognised, you mentioned people getting home safely. They recognised that this was something they needed to do about on the Gold Coast at schoolies. So there's these things called walk homes that have started. So you talk about a practical need. This is one of the coolest ones I've ever heard of. So these people, they know they're not in any state to be walking themselves home at night on the Gold Coast. It's an opportunity for things to go wrong. Yes. What they can do is they can call this Red Frogs number and say, hey, I need someone to walk me home. And someone in Alan's Red Frogs t-shirt shows up with a bit of water, a couple of Red Frogs, and says, hey, we'll help you get home. So there's a pair of Red Frogs team members, volunteers, will rock up and they'll help you get home safely. So it's a lot of fun, but it's practically meeting the need. I keep saying that because that's what it is. That's what we want to do.
Yeah. It was a church's job to do that.
Absolutely.
It was never a governmental job.
Absolutely.
But once the government got in, it becomes political, and God knows when it's going to happen. So let's get in there and do what we can with what we've got. Yeah. And here you guys step up and say, look, we've got an idea. Let's see if we can get some frogs. Let's see if we get behind it. And businesses love this kind of thing because they get to add it on to we do this. Yep. It just looks good. We're giving back to humanity. Good on you. All the calories. But anyway, we thank you. So here comes the Red Frogs, and that's your doorway in, and you expand from there. I like that. You mentioned music festivals. You actually go to music festivals? You actually turn up there?
Live music is my favorite thing. I can't dance to music in the club. I really struggle to do that. But if there's an actual guitarist on the stage, I can dance.
Hang on, I don't think the audience caught that. The beat drop there. You want to do that a little closer to the...
Yeah. So we do that again?
Yeah, you get in there. Give it to him. Caleb Reid. Sorry, Caleb, is that what a CRK?
My name?
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
Is that what a CRK?
C.
You got a Hollywood name there.
Yeah.
Introducing Caleb Reid.
I'll take that.
Seriously, it's a Hollywood name there,
Yeah,
man.
beatboxer.
So
from way back.
So the festivals,
Yeah.
do they welcome you in? Because obviously you would be helping them keep safety, especially after the recent
Can
death.
I tell you a really cool story,
man,
real quick, from the Sunshine Coast? So there's this music festival that happens on the Sunshine Coast. You guys ever heard of the Big Pineapple?
Yes.
Right?
Been there, done that.
That was my
Got
next
the
question.
got
Have
the
you ever
fridge magnet.
been to the Big Pineapple?
Yeah,
Yeah,
got the
so you got the
fridge magnet. Yeah.
Was it what you expected?
Well, I was like 10, so I. So it was only 9 years ago.
That's right. Thank you, Greg. Have you ever been in?
I've passed it, but I've never actually gone in.
Okay.
A bit underwhelming.
I'm getting at, you grow up here on the Central Coast, and it's like the Big Pine. Oh, that's epic. Like, I want to get there. And then you get there, and you're like,
it's not really epic.
that's like, it's just above my head. Like,
Yeah.
Anyways, there's this epic music festival, Big Pineapple Music Festival.
Yeah.
Why not? Let's have it as a music festival
Yes.
venue. And there was this conversation going on between, because council are a part of that and the police are a part of that and all these different things. And then there's that they also do New Year's Eve down at Mooloolaba. And so all this has been going on for a while, and Red Frog's been helping out with events like this on the Sunshine Coast. And this is just an example from me. There'd be stories like this from all over the place. And I heard that the police sergeant who was in charge of allocating how many police would be on each of these events said this: I find out whether the Red Frogs are coming, and then I halve the number of police that I'm assigning to the event.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Yes.
That's huge, right?
Wow,
That's
that's something.
impact.
That's
Amen.
really something.
Amen.
The fact that a bunch of volunteers from churches across a region can rock up
Yeah.
and say, hey, we just want to be here and love you, care for you, practically meet your
Yeah,
needs, make
so
sure you
good.
get home safe,
Excellent.
make sure you stay. And the police have turned around
Yeah.
and said, hey, that's massive.
Yep.
Let's halve the number of police we
Yeah.
get at these events.
So good.
So when the festivals are going on, do you guys reach out to those festivals and then say, this is what we do, can we come? And will we, be guaranteed free entry? Because we're not paying, but there is a service to actually help them.
So
Because
it's a case by case as far as
Yeah.
getting in the festival. So if there's someone listening right now who is anything to do
Oh,
with
yeah,
music
it
festivals
would be.
on
It
the
would
Central
be.
Coast, we would love to have a discussion with you about
Yes.
how we can provide this service.
And
Or any event.
Yeah.
If I should say that. Any event that you think the Central Coast
Yeah.
Red Frogs could come and help out at, we would love to be there.
I would think it would be a case of cents over dollars, because with all the deaths that's just happening in the Royal Commission and the crackdowns, you want as many sets of eyes in there as you can that will jump in there at a moment's notice and help someone,
Yeah.
instead of having to have X amount of security on and hoping that someone will actually take the time to alert you. Because it takes time for news to travel out of a big festival like that and for someone to find a way back into that precise location, because it's packed out. So great impact, great involvement. I like that. So the police chief inquires first. Priority here. Are the Red Frogs coming? I can see the press release. All right, the big meeting. First point of item. Is there coffee? Yes. Are the Red Frogs coming? Yes. Oh, excellent.
We've got an event.
How's God?
It's like we've got
How
an event.
is that, man? And it's nice to be invited at the table, because I heard you can't influence it unless you're invited. So
right.
good on you, man.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
got
Another
you
one you
mad
might.
about
Do you like cricket, Craig?
Cricket.
You like cricket? Summer
Yeah,
cricket
I'm good
coming
at
up?
that. I'm good at that.
You're good at cricket?
Yeah, as in, I do lots of cricket watching. I'm outstanding at watching cricket.
Mandatory nap on Boxing Day, all that kind of thing.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. My dad's thing. Dad and I, for another cricket
Yeah.
Boxing Day
That's
test.
fantastic.
I have actually got a shout-out claim to fame here.
Okay.
In that, for many years, I got the opportunity to play cricket in the Boxing Day test match at the MCG. Yeah, I know. Remarkable.
Wow.
As Kanga Man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like in a suit.
In the suit. Yeah. Dead set. Dead set.
Can you play a
Anyway,
pull shot when you were in that?
and I can tell you, I belted these little kids' little half attempts at bowling cricket at me over the fence. I hit many a six on the Boxing Day test match opening day's
That
play.
is a claim to fame.
It is a
At
claim
the-
to fame.
at the
And
MCG?
fortunately, this conversation's just between the three of us and not going anywhere beyond that. But,
We got to dig up some pictures, Ed. We got to
tell
find
me,
some pictures.
tell me about the cricket. What do you got planned, Red
Yeah,
Fox?
so it's just another thing that Red Frogs likes to get involved with,
Yeah.
right? So they rock up to the cricket, and they've got these big clear plastic, more or less, backpacks on their back full of water, and they're just walking around handing out water at the cricket. So there's no real limit. The imagination is the limit for the kind of events we can
Clear
get.
Plastic.
So if you've got anything to do with organising any sort of event on the Central Coast of any kind, whether it be sport, music, whatever's your cup of tea, we'd love to hear about how we could help you out.
How about that? That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. Let's cut to a song and come back, and let's pick. The song couldn't go quick enough because nothing against the song. It's just I'm finding this conversation very intriguing. I mean, most people would think Red Frogs, you rock up, you hand out a lolly, and you move on. It's more than that.
It's much more. It's
so much more than that.
You mentioned earlier, it's a ministry, right? So you talked about the fact that we don't necessarily go in there, and our first job isn't to start reading scripture. Or our first job isn't to straight up ask them about, hey, have you got a relationship with your Lord and Savior? Like that's not what we're doing here. We're going in, we're meeting a practical need. But it must be said, when you love someone, right? There's this hilarious phrase I'm going to teach you, which the Central Coast is going to get to know real well, right? When you just rock up and you love someone unapologetically without agenda, they're going to ask you a question. You're going to say, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I'm here vomiting because I didn't look after myself properly tonight into the gutter, and you're here just looking after me.
Yeah.
They're going to turn around at some point, and they say, why are you doing this? And there's the opportunity, right? Yeah. There's the opportunity you were talking about earlier. That's where you can say to someone, hey, like, this is why I do this. The reason I do this.
Love prefers.
Yeah.
Amen, dude. I like that term, love prefers. First time I heard that, love prefers. Love prefers to do this than what you really want to do. Love prefers to show God instead of showing you. Show them God. You know what I mean? Show them God. Yeah. It may be uncomfortable. It may be inconvenient. But love prefers.
Yeah, it's great.
I like that.
It's great, isn't it?
It's excellent. Wow.
There's a practical way in which a ministry that's just about to properly get unleashed here on the Central Coast is going about doing that. Red Frogs love it. And hearing the story, tell me, you were 10 years here on the Central Coast before you disappeared.
From 0 to 10 years. So
and
my memory.
It wasn't a legal reason, was it? It was you just felt led there.
It wasn't like juvenile justice.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like that.
I don't know. There's this strange thing that happens sometimes.
Just checking.
Don't go there.
Where was primary school for you?
Primary school for me was at Greenpoint.
There you go.
At Greenpoint Christian College.
There you go.
Yeah. And then I went up to the Sunshine Coast and did a bit of uni there in Brisbane. Then I saw the light and realised that living amongst the Queensland fans is just not good for you when you're.
It's not good for you. It's not good for anyone. It's not even good for them.
It's finally turned though. You know, I timed it. I lived up there for the 10 years we managed to lose State of Origin in a row.
Oh wow!
Can you imagine what that's like?
So it's your fault.
So you talk about.
It's actually your fault.
You're putting that on me.
Basically, it's your fault. Okay, well, now that we've solved that, and now we've started to win the Origin again, praise God. But you've fallen in love with somebody down here on the Central Coast, is that right?
I have.
And
it was. I like the Sunshine Coast, but love will do that to you.
Yeah, it will. So relocating down here and pursuing, a future together with a young lady down here on the coast, and church for you is on the Central Coast as well.
Yeah, that's it. So Eleanor, she's a primary teacher. She's killing it, and this is something that we're excited about together as well. We're really interested. It's you talk about teams. Eleanor's the organised one.
Fantastic. Everyone needs one.
Eleanor's the one who knows how to tick boxes and get stuff done and make sure keep the wheels rolling. We were talking before about who really makes this studio happen.
Right.
As well. There's someone who makes it happen. That's Eleanor for me, so she'll help me make sure Central Coast Red Frogs is heading the right direction as well.
Yeah, she need cooking oil for this. Get that.
So we're both really excited about that.
Excellent.
And church for you is Coast Community, is that right?
Yeah, hanging out at Coast Community Bennsville. Doing a lot with the youth there as well. So we love the Revolution Youth crew there. That happens on a Friday night. Fantastic crew of people there.
Excellent. And of course, Coast Community are hosting the upcoming Global Leadership Summit, which is November 1 and 2. That's a fantastic event. That's a gift to the Central Coast, and also part of the Kincumber Ministers Association that hosts that beautiful One Heart breakfast as well. And again, that's a brilliant opportunity.
Got my ticket this morning.
All coming together.
I actually got my ticket this morning.
You got your ticket?
Oh, yeah,
well done. I've got my ticket.
I like it. It's
telling
good
everyone to get their tickets because it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Do you actually have to pick what you're going to have for breakfast when you buy the ticket?
No.
They just serve you a breakfast.
Serve
you don't even get to ask. It's just like, this is what you're eating.
Yes.
Sorry if you're highly allergic to all of this.
I haven't been disappointed yet.
No,
haven't been sick either.
Fantastic.
So that's been good.
Good.
Beautiful location, beautiful feed.
Yeah,
In Terrigal, which is what really your focus is kind of starting to be at the moment, isn't it, for Red Frogs? Now, listeners are going, well, you do all this beautiful outreach and stuff, and at the moment, Red Frog Central Coast is one guy, working in partnership with several churches. Some of your churches, those listening today, some of the senior leaders from your churches may well have already connected in with Caleb, and if not, we want to facilitate that, because working in with the local churches is the way to do it.
That's it.
Certainly, because you're about ultimately making a kingdom difference and linking people up in the local churches to walk in freedom as well. So how do people get hold of Red Frog Central Coast, Caleb? How does all that happen now?
And two, infrastructure. What you need.
Yeah, cool.
Wrap it all up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just shameless pitch.
Yeah. Okay, here's the opportunity. No pressure. No, we're really excited. So over the next month, we've got a few key goals that we want to start with as Red Frog Central Coast practically. We'd love to be down at the Beery on a Sunday night, running teams there, handing out hydration, handing out Red Frogs, just loving on the people that are hanging out there on a Sunday afternoon. So we'd love to kick that off. So if you have anything to do with that establishment down there, we'd love to hear from you. Or if you want to volunteer, I'll get to that. We'd love to be in schools doing pancakes programs. We'd love to rock up at schools, be there as the kids are rocking up, cooking pancakes on the barbecue, handing those out as well.
Nice.
And then of course we've got, which is really cool, for the university here on the Central Coast, of course, Arimba campus there, University of Newcastle. So we'd love to get in there and provide some of those services there as well. You know, uni students probably need a free feed more than just about anybody else. But that's the goal about where we want to get started. So over the next month, I'd love to hear from anybody in our audience about whether they think they could help in specific with any of those things. But leading up to next Wednesday, the 30th of October, is we're calling out our Central Coast Red Frogs launch night. The Facebook event's about to go live for that. So Wednesday, 30th of October, starting at 7 p.m. The guys at Liberty Church in Gosford have been lovely and put their hands up and said they'll have all of us over for a night. And we're going to have some of the state coordinators from Red Frogs HQ hanging out that night, telling us the big picture. I gave you a little bit of the story before, but they'll tell us the full story of how this Red Frogs crazy idea got started and where it is now. And then we're going to have to hear about practically what Central Coast Red Frogs is going to look like. I mentioned a few of those ideas that we want to get involved with. So that's the key. That's the key night if you want to get involved with Red Frogs in any capacity. Wednesday, the 30th of October, Gosford, Liberty Church, 7 p.m. That's going to be the opportunity to get involved.
Excellent.
That's cool.
Storage. So do you need places to store your red? I mean, if anyone's got anyone around here who owns a storage facility that maybe they could donate something, or how are you? I mean, I know before we talked about, someone wants to join at Red Fox. Oh, well, do you have any garage space? I mean, but if someone's got a massive space out there, is that something of use to you? Are you already working on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Anything in that regard practically would be fantastic. So I'll give you my mobile number if.
Yeah, we'll whack that up.
And they can always contact us here and we'll put them in touch.
Yeah, get in touch with the guys here or my mobile number will be there as well, available.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, but we'll make sure we get it out. So you can actually talk because this is pre-recorded. We'll
cool.
edit it. Yeah,
thanks. Do you want me to say my mobile number on air, or is that helpful?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
You can if you want to, yeah. Because as we go along, we'll ask, how can we contact you? Because obviously you guys would have, I'm talking like we're doing an interview. Let's cut back. If you want, Billy, you can pick it up from here. If people want to contact you, so is there a mobile number? Is there a website? Facebook, Twitter? You guys are on social media? Because, like if I want to reach my daughter, I actually ring her. If I want to reach my son, it's Messenger. He's on the iPad, not the phone. And he's on his computer, not the phone. So everybody has their preferred. So where are you guys
And that's
at?
just when you're sitting down at dinner.
Exactly. He's upstairs. Yeah, exactly. Instead of yelling, I'm going, no, Jackson, come down to dinner. So, yeah. So, how can people contact you? What's the method? I mean, there's probably Red Frogs International or Australia, but do you have something specifically here on the coast?
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I'd love to share my phone number. My phone number, you can start by calling me 0432940313. Would love to hear from you myself.
Yep.
But like you said, different people like to contact different ways. There's lots of ways you can do that. You can hit up any of the social media channels. Just look up Red Frogs AU. That'll send you obviously to someone who can point you towards me. And then obviously we've got that opportunity to meet face to face as well next month at the Red Frogs launch night.
Is there email address for here? redfrogcentralcoast@gmail or something like that? Or,
yeah, that's in the works.
In the works, great.
That's in the
I'm
works.
about to say yes, you should. Bingo. That'd be awesome. One mass blast, everybody. Good.
That's
okay.
right.
So shirts. Who supplies those, or do you look for donations for those things as well?
Yeah. So the way that'll work is we'll order a whole bunch from Red Frogs HQ. They'll come in and then they'll be available for volunteers. When people stick up their hand and say, "Hey, we want to get involved," we'll say, "Great, let's get you a shirt."
Okay.
We'll have a whole bunch pre-stocked.
Excellent.
So you can arrange purchasing one of those.
Beautiful.
From
Water.
Red Frogs to.
Do you
How's
have them
that?
in extra small for me?
Yeah, of course, Craig.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
The Craig size, custom,
Yeah, extra small, fantastic.
small and ripped.
That's it, just like myself. Anyway, sorry, the program isn't
Hey, this
normally
is
like
radio.
this.
We can
It
portray
is.
ourselves.
Yes.
You know, Periscope is not in here. Instagram TV, not yet.
Not yet.
Though that TV there, I'm thinking, water. So is that something that's also supplied from HQ, or do you look for people to supply water to you here?
Yeah,
locally?
anything with people who are willing to
Anything?
donate, whether it be financially, whether it be water containers, but anything practical, we'd love to hear from you.
Excellent.
About that. But a lot of that we can arrange ourselves as
Okay.
well. But that being said, definitely if you're like, I got like heaps of like
Yeah.
what are they called? Those big water containers. You know, like when you played soccer on a Saturday morning in McDonald's.
Yeah.
The big yellow
The big
and red.
esky water filter
Golf
things.
barrel thing,
Yeah.
those
If
things.
you've got some of those lying around,
Anything,
we'd love-
set up, yeah, okay.
Absolutely, anything like that.
But listen,
All right.
churches are going to want to sponsor things too. Like
Yeah, they will.
you might be putting your hand up to sponsor the pancakes for the pancake
Yeah.
drive. You might
That's right.
be
Yeah.
going, you know what, we got all the gas cylinders sorted out for the barbecues or this or that, and it's my anticipation that the broader body of Christ just goes, this is really good for our region. So we're in whatever way we're going to make people available to serve
Yeah.
alongside you. You know, in doing the outreach stuff, or we're going to prepare food, or we're going to supply the finance to get the things done that need to get done.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Van? You guys got a van?
We don't have a van yet.
And I know a guy.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I'm meeting with him Thursday, actually.
Nice one, Ed.
That's where we got our van from.
Thursday.
So
That's
talk to
it.
him, yeah. Okay,
Fantastic.
excellent. All right. Beautiful. All right.
Yeah, I guess
So-
to cap off that conversation, can I
Yeah.
just add?
Yeah, no, go.
I said it earlier. The imagination's the limit here. The
Yes.
imagination is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
limit here. Central Coast Red Frogs, you know, we've seen successful. We've talked about the Sunshine Coast, talked about the Gold Coast, but basically we just want Central Coast Red Frogs to be what the Central Coast needs it to be.
Yeah.
So if you've got anything you think that sounds like it could help us practically meet the needs of the next generation, we want to hear from you.
Excellent. So let's talk footprint.
Mm-hmm.
Because Central Coast is quite big. I'm only new here 6 years, and I still haven't explored the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So where are we going from? I mean, what are we stopping at? I don't know Swansea, Lake Munmora, and going down to where? What's your footprint?
It's not limited. Again, if you want to volunteer and you're in an area like Lake Memorial, or
Yeah.
you mentioned some of those that might be, you know, there's Newcastle Red Frogs, the Sydney Red
Yes.
Frogs. We'll go as far as we get until they come to our event and they say, hey, what are you doing here? This is our territory.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's where I wanted to go. How do you split that up? I mean, do you have? I mean, let's say someone lives up at Lake Memorial and doesn't actually want to come down to Terrigal, but and there might be someone in Terrigal who doesn't actually want to go to Lake Memorial.
Yeah.
So you're looking for numbers in everywhere, but everyone can go everywhere. But
Yeah, any expression of interest from
Yeah.
any area, we'd
Beautiful.
love to hear it, and we'll get it started because there's going to be needs near you.
All right.
That we want you to meet.
So do you have chapter leaders, or is it just one coastal leader, or how do you break that hierarchy down so people know who they're talking to and how it's organized?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
because there are events every single night, and this is a huge area. So what's your long-term plan for that? How's that structured? How's that work? I mean, because you would have a swag of youth leaders.
Yeah.
All up and down this coast who
Yeah.
might want to put their hands up and say, look, we can hook up and look after this area if you want to look over the region. Or,
Yeah.
How's that work?
Yeah.
Just break that down for the youth leaders who are listening.
Yeah,
to this.
absolutely. That's one thing we actually haven't talked about too extensively yet is volunteers, because this whole thing is run by people just putting their hand up and saying,
Yeah.
we want to get involved with this.
Yeah.
And like we mentioned earlier, we don't want you to have to drive 30 minutes down the highway to get there, because you know what? There's needs 5 minutes down the road from you that you
Exactly,
could meet.
yeah.
So there's no need to be doing that if you don't need to. Having said that, what it looks like, Eb, is it could be anything. So if you reach out from Lake Moore and you say you want to get involved, we'll make that happen, and you could be the team leader from there potentially. It really comes down to who's willing to put their hand up and say, yeah, we want to get involved with this, and we want to work with you to make that happen. Ideally, we end up with a roster. We don't want everyone having to rock up to every single event every single week. That's not practical. We're going to burn ourselves out. We want to be able to, hopefully we'll get enough hands up that we can start working together in teams, doing different events on a rotation. Yeah, and that's right. And then, of course, I'm not going to be there leading every team. Eleanor's not going to be there leading every team. We want other people to put their hands up and say, yeah, we want to be involved with actually leading a team of volunteers at an event near us.
Yeah. Here's what I love. I love, and this is really important to me, that that there's something of a need. There's senior leaders in local churches that are all kind of starting to pull together. One of the things that Pastor Carol did when she started with this idea was she reached out to some of the kind of apostolic oversight leaders within the region and sort of said, look, this is some of the considerations that I'm having. She put it to this group, and many senior leaders at that level then weighed what was happening and felt, actually, this is right. This is a good strategy for our region. So immediately there's a grace apostolically covering, the ministry of Red Frogs. There's an invitation in. There's an endorsement by senior leaders at many different levels on the coast. And there's a willingness for the different churches to want to support and to weigh in, to contribute, to invest and serve, to release people into. And so I love when an outreach kind of ministry lands in our lap and everything's in order, like when things are in order. And so there's a great encouragement for us to be able to go, well, let's all run with this because things are in order here, I mean, quite apart from the fact that Red Frogs is a well-established ministry and brand. It's well regarded and has lots of street cred across the country. Quite aside from that, the fact that you've come, the way that you've come, the way that the invitation was extended, the way that you've been received, all of that being in order, it's like we have such a confidence on behalf of you and the ministry that you carry can see that just having such far-reaching effect because of that. So well done on that, and well done to Red Frogs in terms of being able to partner locally the way that they pursue doing things. So excited because, as you've identified, there are key youth leaders. You can see this thing turning youth groups on their head, where maybe for a season they've been very internally looking and focused, and maybe this is the opportunity then to be externally looking and focused and getting on the front foot with outreach and evangelism and seeing their peers won to Christ through the demonstration of the love of Christ in these locations with Red Frogs. Such a positive gift to the community, to the region, the Central Coast. How good's that?
I'm loving it because the devil's ammo hasn't changed. He's still targeting the youth.
Yeah.
If he can snatch that younger generation, what hope does? So I'm like, great. So I'm all in on that. Yeah. Especially as a former youth pastor myself, I'm in those sorts of things. But I like info because I'm not dragging my guys an hour down the road. But we had that same need up here. So how are you doing it, and how can we link in? I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel.
That's
just
right.
want to sign up and get in there. So that's great. One more question. I know you guys travel and you go into places and you do things, but do you ever have just standalone spots? Like, okay, we're going to be here because we know this is a well-trafficked area in between that hub and this hub. So I know that's like that in Newcastle. They call that nightclub district, it's in a triangle. I forget what the police called it. But if you set up in Central Park, everybody's going to eventually mill past you.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's where a lot of the hot dog stands and things like that showed up. Do you guys ever do anything like that at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
In one spot?
Yeah, strategically placing yourself in a spot where you can. We just want to be where the most need is.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Because there's some things you could do there if you have one spot. Like, I don't know if you know it or not, but there are 3 rap factions, 3 R&B groups here, or factions, I can call them, tribes in Australia, but 2 are here. One's at Lake One More, and the other one's at Arena. They're here, and they love going out and doing outreach. And if I know if anything works in the middle of the night as far as an outreach, it's R&B and hip hop. They work, and they look to give their time. So when you get settled, I'll introduce you to those guys.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Plus, you got Mad that's here too as well.
Yeah,
and they're just on steroids. They're starting to pop up in the U.S. all over the place. So
wow.
That's something that, you want to look at.
So cool, Ed.
So
we've been listening to Caleb Reid, who's flying the flag of Red Frogs for here on the Central Coast. Is a real new initiative that we can all, as churches and the body of Christ, get behind, support, even if intentionally praying through this ministry as we break into new ground in the region, starting in Terrigal, but right across the place. Otherwise, you might want to be at the launch of the Red Frogs on the Central Coast, which is the 30th of October at Liberty Family Church. What was the time of the launch?
Kicking off at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Liberty Family Church. Pastor Kim, massive shout out to you. Thanks for hosting that.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah, that's a great gift to the coast and a great way to... You've been listening to an Encore presentation of New Expressions, which can be heard live every Friday morning at 10 a.m. on 94.9 Rima Central Coast.